So, where do we go from here?
I think we can agree that this has been an absolutely exhausting, bruising election for everyone.
That's right.
I don't know what to say in this video.
Honestly, I feel lost, and I'm looking to you for guidance and clarity as I have for almost a decade now.
Now, this video isn't really about the election. In fact, it's very little about the election. I'm currently watching the results. By the time you see this video, you'll already know who have won, probably.
We're like that close to President Trump. No, boo. You boo, but you won't vote, you fucks. All those Bernie Sanders people are like, yo, Bernie's the shit. Did you vote for him? Voting ain't real, bro. Doesn't even work, dude.
But I don't, as of filming this, have any idea who won. But again, this video is not really about the election. It's more about the effects of this election.
By every metric, I mean, we are more divided than ever as a nation.
I don't know how this country heals. I don't know how it ever gets better.
You see, every time we have an election, regardless of who you vote for or who you want to win, is we start to put out our opinions on our things, and we start sharing with our friends and family like what we really think on certain really divisive topics. And divisive being the key word there. See, the downside to an election, or the downside to really anything that involves two opinions, divisive opinions, is that there isn't always a right and wrong answer, so you divide based on what you think. There have, however, been a few topics that have really enraged me in this election. And there's something that I want to talk about because I feel like the end of this election became too much of two people catfighting and not enough about the actual issues. So much of this election was predicated on fear. Now that fear wasn't just very specific. It encompassed a lot of fear. We leaned very heavily on the fear of nationalism and refugees and religious people coming from other countries into our country.
As soon as at the beginning it was, Mexicans, they're coming over and they're raping. And then there was a terrorist attack and he went, oh fuck, I'll go after the Muslims. We should kill the families of Muslims, which by the way, you're not allowed to do. As soon as he says that, is a fucking one. It's a recruitment tool. And the recruitment tool can only work if hate is bred. Right, so what he does is he says, we're going to ban them, we're not going to let any more in the country, and the ones here have to be on a register. Now, you're a 16-year-old boy or girl that's a Muslim living in this country. You've lived your entire life in this country. You've always considered yourself American. And then all of a sudden, someone who could be your president says, you are not welcome here, and that you should be put on a register. Now, that kid, how fucking quickly do you think that kid could be radicalized now?
We also leaned very heavily on sexism and grabbing her by the pussy and whether or not that was locker room talk.
Let's work through this. Let's work through this. Two things about that locker room excuse. First, they're conflating sex talk and sexual assault talk, all right? Trying to make Trump's comments sound normal is not something that they're achieving, because I'm sorry, that is not normal. That's a crime. There is a big difference. People are like, oh, come on, guys talk dirty. Yeah, guys talk dirty, but guys are not all having conversations about sexual assault.
They leaned very heavily on racism and, I guess I should say, the inner city, and dividing us by race.
Our president has divided this country so
Fuck that nigga!
There's a group out there, just throw him the hell out.
Get the fuck out of here!
Get out. Get out.
In 1996, you used the term super predators to describe some young kids. Some feel like it was racial code. Was it, and were you wrong to use that term?
Well, I was speaking about drug cartels and...
They knew our fears and they played against them to divide us. Because divided, we are less powerful. We are more powerful unified than in any other form.
So it's always our job to stand together and make sure the government does its job, that it affords equal protection under the law to all citizens, that the rights of all are protected, and that our government's policies are fiscally sound and carefully considered.
They made it about what separates us, what makes us different. And they were so convincing, we forgot what makes us the same. I have friends of all types of nationalities, all types of religions, all types of genders, all types of gender preferences. And when I look at somebody, I see a person. I don't see a label. I see a beating heart. I see a person.
Nothing I say will change how you feel or make you feel better. And I guess my final thought on this is whether you're on the left or the right, please try to have a little compassion. If you're on the side that won, obviously you're excited and you're happy. But it won't help us come together as a country to gloat and demean. For those who have lost or you didn't vote and you're not happy with the outcome, hold on to this feeling and look forward. Also, if possible, be as gracious as possible in defeat. Don't lash out at people or make blanket statements. And these are things for both sides, win or lose. Because it's not hippy-dippy bullshit. We need each other. At times like this in the election, it may not feel like it because we're at the extremes in this country, but we do. At this point we are now in, it is on us, whether you're on the left or the right, to put a hand out and try to move past this.
So again, I don't know who won yet. And to be honest, I don't care for either candidates. What I care about is where we go from here. Is how we step back, take a look at what this election has taught us about ourselves, about our country, about how we interact with our fellow man or woman, and how we can self-analyze that and say, hey, look, these are the things we're doing that are fucked up. We need to be inclusive. We need to be understanding. We need to be supportive. We need to be caring. We need to be loving. We need to be brothers and sisters.
So I see you. You got a problem with those Americans fighting for their place at the table. You got a problem with them because you feel like the, what's Representative Steve King's word for it? Subgroups of Americans are being divisive. Well, if you have a problem with that, take it up with the founders. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Sorry, big up. Respect, Lin-Manuel. Those fighting to be included in the ideal of equality are not being divisive. Those fighting to keep those people out are.
So my hope is that regardless of who you voted for, regardless of whether or not the person you voted for won, is to just think about who you are, who the people you know are, and remember that hate is not a good thing. Hate divides us, hate separates us, hate pulls us apart. Love is what makes this country great. Love for your fellow man is what makes this country great. And hopefully in the future will make this country greater. This country doesn't need to be great again. This country needs to become greater every day. And you don't have to be with her, but you do have to give her voice at the table a chance to speak. Just remember that the results of the election does not determine where America goes. Does not determine where the rest of the world goes. This country, the way we move forward as a country and as a world, as a species, as a planet, is not determined by them. It is determined by us. If we want a world that's better, then we have to make it better.
Now please, get out there, kiss a Democrat, go hug a Republican, give a libertarian a reach around. I don't care. The election is over. You survived. Good night, and may God bless America.
Hate only breeds more hate. Only love, real love, can dissipate that hate. Doesn't have to make sense.